Welcome to JT's K-Pop Insights, Episode 1.
And it feels like exactly the right time to have this conversation, doesn't it? I mean, you just look at the landscape right now, February 2026. The industry is on top of the world.
It really is. I was looking at the raw data just before we started, and it's staggering. Tours aren't just selling out. We're seeing multi-day stadium residencies.
In markets that were considered niche 5 years ago.
Exactly. Sold-out nights in Santiago, Jakarta, places that maybe got one show a year. The charts are dominated. And the institutions, the ones who spent a decade sort of side-eyeing the genre.
Treating it like a fad.
Right. They've completely bowed down.
It's total institutional validation. The Grammys, the billboards, the footprint is just undeniable.
So from the outside, if you're an investor or even just a casual observer, it looks like the game is over. Victory. Mission accomplished.
And that is precisely where the danger lies.
It's so counterintuitive, isn't it? We usually do these breakdowns when something crashes. A stock plummets, a scandal breaks.
But the report we're looking at today argues the complete opposite. It says the most critical questions, they don't appear when an industry is failing.
They appear when it succeeds.
Because success hides direction. That's the core idea here. When everything is green, when it's all up and to the right, you stop checking the foundation.
You just keep adding floors.
You assume it can hold the weight because it hasn't cracked yet.
Yeah.
You get complacent.
But we're here to apply a strategic lens, specifically because of that success. And I think the trigger event, the thing that solidified all this, was the Grammy performance last week.
The golden stage.
The golden stage. Huntrix. I mean, unless you've been living under a rock.
You saw it. It was everywhere.
It was a massive cultural fact of 2026. The visuals, the scale. But looking at the notes, you see it as more than just a great show.
Oh, absolutely. It was a symbolic indicator. Huntrix, that performance, it's not just a cool moment. It's evidence that the system has fully matured.
What do you mean by the system?
Think about what we actually saw. It wasn't just singing and dancing. It was the endpoint of songwriting, pipelines, years of training, visual storytelling, fan engagement architecture.
A whole ecosystem.
Functioning seamlessly on a global stage. It was a machine, a beautiful, high-functioning machine.
It looked effortless, but we know the industrial engineering that goes into making 3 minutes look that easy. Every camera angle, every vocal run was optimized.
Precisely, and that brings us to the core of this. If the machine is this perfect, what is it actually producing? And is perfection enough to sustain it for another decade?
Let's pause here.
Because this is where we need to redefine what we're actually looking at. For years, people tried to box this in as a musical genre, like disco or teen pop.
But the argument is we need to stop calling it a genre at all.
Right. In 2026, K-pop isn't a genre, it's an operating system.
An OS. That's the key analogy.
Think about it. An OS isn't a single app, right? It's a repeatable framework that produces consistent outcomes. It's the platform.
I like that. It explains the consistency. So if K-pop is the OS, what are the core components, the kernel of this system?
It's the pillars we all know, but as a standardized stack. You've got the trainee development structure, that's your R&D, visual first branding, your UI UX.
Narrative-driven fandom, that's your customer retention.
And precision global marketing. The point is, this framework is so robust now, it runs independently of the content you plug into it.
So you have a manufacturing process, you input talent, run it through the OS, and output a high-performance idol group.
And the fascinating thing about an OS is, once it's stable, you can install it anywhere. It's become geographically agnostic.
We used to think that K in K-pop was a geographical tether, made in Seoul by Koreans for Koreans first.
That was the rule, not anymore. The OS runs in Seoul, sure, but it also runs in Los Angeles. It runs in Stockholm, in Manila.
We're seeing groups where the K is almost silent. It stands for the style of production, not the country.
Or it's invisible. You can build a K-pop group without a single Korean passport if you run the correct operating system. You get a K-pop outcome regardless of where the server is.
But here's the friction point, and I think this is the big design challenge of 2026. Infrastructure travels fast.
A training manual is a PDF. You can send that overnight.
But identity doesn't travel at the same speed.
That's the rub. When you expand an OS globally, you face a trade-off. Accessibility versus specificity.
And to make something scale, to make it work in Brazil and Germany and Japan all at once, you have to reduce the friction.
And friction here means cultural density. nuance.
You smooth out the edges?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If a lyric is too rooted in, say, a specific Korean slang or sentiment, it might not hit in France. It requires too much context. So the market logic is smooth it out.
It's like taking a spicy local dish and putting it in a global chain restaurant. You tone down the spice to make it palatable for everyone.
It's not malicious cultural erasure. It's market strategy, optimization for scale.
Yeah.
But it has a side effect.
Which is what we're seeing in recent hits.
Yes. Language is becoming a symbolic cultural layer, not a structural core.
A symbolic layer, what does that mean?
It means the Korean lyrics are there for branding, for flavor, to signal this is K-pop. But the song structure, the melody, it functions as global hybrid pop.
You could swap the lyrics to English or Spanish, and the song wouldn't fundamentally change.
Precisely. The K becomes a garnish, not the main ingredient.
Global hybrid pop. That sounds profitable.
Incredibly profitable, and it's an accurate description. We're not saying it's bad music. It's catchy, it's polished, it makes millions of people happy. It's just an observation of the market mechanics.
Okay, so we have this massive, successful OS creating polished, accessible, global hybrid pop. It feels invincible.
This brings us to the technological elephant in the room.
Because if the goal is just perfect, accessible pop music, humans aren't the only ones who can make that anymore.
This is the turning point.
We have to talk about AI.
You can't talk about music in 2026 without it.
And let's be clear, we're not talking about some sci-fi future. We're talking about the tools on producers' laptops right now.
Right. The tools today can generate melodies, arrange tracks, simulate voices, write lyrics, and the quality is good. It's not a novelty anymore.
That's the scary part.
Yeah.
It's radio ready. You can prompt a model to write a catchy summer chorus, and it spits out something usable in seconds.
It creates average perfection. I love that term from the report. AI models patterns so well, it removes the flaws. It knows exactly where the drop should be, which chord progression hits your brain just right.
It never sings off key.
Never cracks on a high note, never has a scandal, never demands a better contract.
But that creates a valuation crisis. It's basic economics. If technical perfection becomes cheap, if I can get a perfectly produced song for pennies by clicking a button,
then polish is no longer a value driver.
And that's a huge shift. For decades, the selling point of K-pop was the polish, the synchronization, the perfection.
Exactly. We sold high production value. But you can't sell perfection at a premium if perfection is the baseline commodity available to everyone. If everyone is perfect, no one is special.
So if the robot can do the dance and sing the song, what are we actually paying for?
Experience density and cultural memory.
This is where we have to pivot away from the mechanics and into the human element. The report argues K-pop's strongest differentiator was never just the sound.
It was the relationship architecture.
Now, this changes everything.
It does. If we accept sound can be automated, we have to look at what can't be. And that's always been the bond between the artist and the fan.
The why.
The why. Why do fans buy 10 albums? It's not just because the melody is catchy. It's because they care about the person singing it.
So the report brings up two specific Korean concepts that act as a strategic moat against AI. Defensive infrastructure. The first is Jeong.
Jeong, so hard to translate. It's love, affinity, attachment.
All of those, but here, think of it as a sticky, invisible emotional connection. A bond that grows over time through shared experience.
It implies vulnerability, continuity, a sense of we're in this together.
And the key argument is that you cannot prompt engineer Jeong.
You can't. You can't algorithm your way into it. It requires time. It requires the artist to show weakness and the fan to reciprocate. It's a participatory narrative.
So an AI can give you a perfect love song. It can say, I love you in 50 languages.
But it cannot simulate the 5-year history of a group struggling, crying on stage, and growing up alongside their fans. That shared timeline creates Jeong.
That history is the asset. Okay, and the second concept.
The second is Han.
Han. Usually translated as sorrow or resentment.
It's more layered. It's sorrow, yes, but also endurance, unresolved tension, generational memory. It's a weight. And strategically, AI struggles with lived history.
It can mimic the sound of sadness. It can put it in a minor key, lower the tempo.
It can make a sad banger, sure. But it can't replicate the context of Han. It can't replicate the specific cultural texture of struggle. When an artist sings a ballad about missing home or the pressure of training,
There's a texture there that comes from reality.
a machine hasn't suffered, it doesn't have parents, it misses, it doesn't worry about its future.
So Jeong and Han aren't just poetic ideas. They're infrastructure. a firewall. If you remove the human struggle, you remove the Han. Remove the shared history, you remove the Jeong.
Exactly. They represent emotional specificity. In a world of AI average perfection, emotional specificity is your competitive asset, the only thing the machine can't copy.
So you have these two opposing forces, the global OS wanting to smooth everything out, and identity specificity relying on deep emotions like Han and Jeong. Where does that leave the market?
It leads to a split, a bifurcation of the market into two distinct layers. And to be clear, one isn't better, they just have different functions.
Let's break down layer one. This is the commodity layer.
Layer one is global-scale K-pop. Think of it like fast fashion, Zara, H&M, or fast casual dining. The characteristics are fast production cycles, algorithm alignment, cross-market neutrality.
The goal here is just numbers.
Revenue and reach. Hitting the widest audience with the least friction. This is where global hybrid pop lives. It works. It pays the bills.
It's the song you hear in a mall, on a playlist, in the background of a TikTok. It's pleasant, but you might not even know the artist's name.
You consume it and move on. Exactly. Then you have layer two, identity-dense K-pop, the premium layer.
And this is the luxury lines or fine dining analogy.
Yes. This is language-anchored, narrative-heavy, culturally textured, high levels of Han and Jeong. The goal isn't just broad reach, but long-term brand equity and intense emotional loyalty.
This is where the superfans are, the people who buy physicals, learn fanchants, travel for concerts.
Correct. And the mistake, the strategic trap, is when companies confuse the two layers.
How do you mean?
You can't market a fast fashion product and expect luxury loyalty. You can't release a generic algorithm-friendly track and then expect fans to form a deep Jeong connection to it.
You can't ask for ride or die loyalty for a disposable product.
And conversely, you can't build a fine dining experience, something dense and difficult, and expect it to scale like fast food overnight. You trade connection for scale. You can't have it both ways.
This really reframes the K in K-pop, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The old globalization strategy was about removing the K to be more palatable, sing in English, be more universal.
But for the premium layer, that's the wrong move. The K is not a barrier to be removed. It's a strategic anchor.
In an AI world, that specific cultural identity is what gives it value.
It's the certificate of authenticity. It proves a human was here. A specific culture created this.
It flips the script. To be truly premium in a global market, you have to be more specific, not less.
That's the paradox of this post-Grammy world. The OS has won, the infrastructure is conquered, but systems alone don't endure.
Only systems with identity anchors.
If you lose the anchor, you just float away in the sea of content.
So as we look at this integration challenge,
Yeah.
expanding the OS without dissolving the core, what's the future?
The future is recognizing we're at the end of the first operating model. That model was about proving K-pop could compete. It did. It won.
The next model is about integration.
Exactly. How do you use that global reach without losing the emotional specificity? You can have layer one hits, you need them to bring people in. But if you lose layer two, if you lose the Jeong, the Han,
You lose your longevity. You become just another content farm in a sea of AI content.
and the AI will always be faster and cheaper at farming content, humans crave connection. We want to know there's a real person with real struggles behind the voice. That's the true luxury in 2026. Not louder, not bigger, more specific.
It really puts that Huntrix performance in a new light. It wasn't just a win, it was a warning that if we just keep polishing the machine, we might polish away the very thing that made us care.
The machine works. The question is, what are we feeding it? If we feed it generic inputs, we get shiny generic outputs. If we feed it Han and Jeong, we get something that lasts.
Perfection is the baseline. Specificity is the future.
Thanks for listening to JT's K-Pop Insights.